everybody, despite everything going on, I hope that you are having a great start to your summer, hanging out with family, finding internships and jobs where you can, and maybe visiting some places that you haven't been before. Summer also gives you an opportunity to supplement and replace all of those social activities and events that you were involved with during the school year, which looks similar in law school, but not exactly the same. And so I thought today we could talk about how to get involved with your peers and community once you're a law student. The different social groups, activities, and volunteer opportunities are going to vary according to region, population, and of course, institution. But at Washington University Law School, where I just finished my first year, as I suspect is the case with many other schools, we were introduced to a mandatory service day as well as a huge club and student organization fair, basically the first week or two after we had gotten to campus. If you're starting law school this fall, there's a good chance that this will look a little bit different from you, depending on how the current world circumstances are affecting higher education, being online and in person. The organizations that I was interested in and ended up getting involved with for my 1L year were Christian Legal Fellowship, the Carver Project, Criminal Law Society, and Young Advocates for the Incarcerated. There were also other organizations that I heard about or went to different meetings to, but I just didn't end up getting super involved with, like Women's Law Caucus, Federal Law Society, Public Service Advisory Board, and many more. Chances are there's going to be an organization that represents any unique interest or perspective you have. For example, WashU had a thriving Jewish Law Society that Christian Legal Fellowship would also pair up with to promote student events like Interfaith Potluck. And if by chance there isn't a organization that represents a unique interest or perspective that you have that you feel should be represented at the law school and is shared by many other students, you can always start your own organization. That's actually what Young Advocates for the Incarcerated was born out of. A lot of my classmates and I felt that there was a huge percentage of our population in St. Louis that was not being served by our law school despite overwhelming interest, and that was the incarcerated population. Despite having a criminal law society, which I love and am going to be on the leadership board for next year, the bandwidth of the organization simply couldn't cover all of the needs of students' career interests as well as wanting to serve the community in a thorough and meaningful way. Thus, we began a new organization that was specifically dedicated to that interest and started doing service projects like used clothing donations for public defenders' offices and data collection regarding commissary provisions and supplies for the jails and prisons in Missouri. I was very honored to be selected as Vice President of Operations for this organization and will also be continuing that role into next year. If you aren't ready to be on leadership though, or if you go for a leadership position and don't get one, that doesn't mean that you can't be involved. Student Bar Association, or SBA, is the leadership team for the student body at a law school. And SBA at WashU, at least, and I imagine other schools as well, requires that every organization do some sort of service project to continue to receive funding for their larger events. These events should be free to you as law students and often include free food, so bonus. But they bring in a lot of speakers and address interesting topics that are relevant to that organization's purpose and theme. Being able to say that you were involved by attending these events and helping with their setup, teardown, planning, etc. is a great line for your resume or something just to mention in an interview. More than just another way to get a job offer though, I think that these types of events and groups are really good for rounding out your character and ability to succeed in law school. The more people that you know, and believe me, these are giant opportunities for networking, the better you're going to do, not only in finding a job, but in getting good grades and surviving the year. While I was able to make friends that were at the same level in law school as I was through my various classes, basically all of the friends that I made outside of my own section were because I met them through these organizations, and they're probably more along the lines of the people that I would stay friends with longer just because I found them out of common interest versus common location. In fact, the way that I found the church that I currently go to in St. Louis was because a few of my friends that I had met at Christian Legal Fellowship and the Carver Project recommended it to me. By the way, I guess that's not super self-explanatory from the name, but the Carver Project is essentially a school-wide organization that was started by some people of faith who work at Washington University who wanted to kind of find an intersection between education, the community, and spirituality. We read books together, we host really cool events with wonderful Christian speakers, and hopefully tried to help the community along the way. All in all, when it is your 1L year, I would encourage you to look into these organizations and don't be afraid to sign up for too many, because signing up isn't any kind of commitment that you have to be involved with every meeting and every project and every event, but it at least gives you access to the email list so you know what's going on. Sign up for anything that interests you and then kind of whittle it down to maybe 3 or 4 that you really want to get involved in and maybe be on leadership for that year or following years. Be open to meeting new people and getting advice for classes from people who have already been in them. Trust me, that is the only reason that I passed contracts. I know it can be a lot, especially for introverts like me, to be able to put themselves out there over and over and over again for all of these new people at new events who expect a lot from you for being a 1L. But I do think it's worth it, especially those first 2 or 3 months. If you can get through those and establish some good relationships for the future, it's really going to help you make it through the rest of the year when you're just ready to be done. Those events and meetings for me became a form of solace and an ability to just talk with my friends who I wasn't seeing on an everyday basis. The upperclassmen who were Christians that I met through those organizations were the people that I confided in when I was really struggling and didn't have any of my friends or family nearby to help me. I think that student clubs and organizations can really be a help instead of an additional burden. And so I hope that you find that that's the case for you at whatever school you go to as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit subscribe, the bell notification, and this like button, and I will see you all next Monday with another video. Until then, God bless.